He's currently managing a UI platform in supply chain technology. He started his career as a web designer and graduated as a tech lead. He has spent more than 15 years in web technologies as an engineer. Unlike most of the engineering leaders, one thing that stands out for Vivek is that he's from BCom background, but learned the nuances of web development from scratch with self-interest and also with help of his friends and colleagues. That's quite inspiring and at the same time encouraging for those folks who are from non-tech background. In today's episode, let's learn more about Vivek's unconventional journey in becoming a software engineering manager. Hello, hi there. Welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series. The Guiding Voice for a better future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape their careers. So, folks, if you have tuned into our podcast for the first time, you have missed a lot of stuff. But don't worry, all our previous episodes are available on your favorite podcast listening platforms, including Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, JioSaavn, Ghana.com, and almost all the major podcast listening platforms. And not only that, we are also available on YouTube. Just search for The Guiding Voice and you'll find us there. Also, if you haven't rated our podcast on Apple, please provide your rating and also request you to provide a positive review, because every rating and review will motivate us to bring in more and more content to you. This is your host Naveen Samala, and I'm having about 18 years of rich and diverse experience in the IT industry. And in every episode, we interact with industry experts or thought leaders or academicians or coaches across the globe to drive some insightful conversations that will help each one of you learn great things. You'll acquire more knowledge per every minute by listening to TGV than any other podcast in this space. Also, we share an interesting trivia or a fun fact about the IT world or technology towards the end. So stay tuned till the end. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are going to discuss a topic: unconventional journey of an engineering manager. And we are pleased to have Vivek part of our TGV's journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. Vivek, thank you so much for being part of TGV. Welcome to TGV.
Hey, thanks, Naveen. Thanks a lot for this podcast. I'm really feeling honored and excited to have such a conversation on your platform. And I'm totally convinced with your format. I've heard a lot of them, and really it is inspiring for the younger generations that are coming. And yeah, transferring knowledge is really required for the next generation, and you do it in such a subtle way that's really commendable.
Thank you so much, Vivek, for all the kind words. And in fact, because of the support of speakers and all the industry experts like you, we have been doing this, and we don't want to stop doing this no matter what may come in between.
That's a very noble cause that you are doing, and I wish you all the best for this.
Thank you. All right. So with that, let us get into the conversation. Vivek, you have an amazing career journey. Especially what is standing out is you are from a non-engineering background and scaling up to an engineering manager level, right? It is not that easy. I know, I can imagine the kind of hardships or the struggles that you might have gone through. So definitely we would love you to share briefly your journey, highlighting the top 3 things that contributing to reaching your current position with our audience.
Okay. First, let me tell you the top 3 things that should be on the top of our conversation. First is the interest. That's the topmost thing. If you have interest in something, you can do anything. Elon Musk, belief in yourself that you will do it, and having a very good friend to supporting you with your thought. And fortunately, I have all these 3. And that's the key that probably worked for me. And yeah, I mean, there are many people who are from my kind of background, but then they have managed to do their journey with some other aspects of life. I do not know much about it, but yeah, these 3 things have worked for me. It's what I want to share. Now, coming to the first part of your question is, how was my journey? So my journey basically started in late 90s. When I was thinking about my career, all my friends were done and dusted with the academics, got into their some family business or accounting job, or some of them have become CA. They have an enormous good career. They are very successful in their lives. But when I did my BCom, I did not have any clue why did I do my BCom, as I belong to a lower middle class family and did not actually have a proper guidance on choosing even a right academic stream when it was required. And it is not me alone. There are many such people in my batch who did not get the right way. But then, what I followed is I just followed my heart. Okay, so I'll tell you like what happened. The day I received my BCom result, I was not happy for some reason. And I was asking to myself and to a very close friend of mine, what the hell is this, man? Now with this degree, what do we do? Okay, one of my friends said, well, we'll get some accounting job in a transport company or showroom to start with, and we have to really try hard. My heart was not beating for this. It still had some imprint. Okay, I'll tell you about the imprint that was kind of my target probably. So once I went to Allahabad, where my maternal aunt was an IT professional in some private company, and I saw the first computer in my life. This was in some 80s or something. It was an amazing experience to see. She gave me a gift of a printout. Okay, that was a clip art illustration printout. At that point of time, it was written like my name, Vivek Pohre, Vivek Pohre, Vivek Pohre. And there was a shape, I think it was a shape of a cat or something. And the whole shape was done with these, text. I was amazed to see that. I was amazed to see the technology, how the image is being created and then being printed out on a dot matrix printer. The sound of that dot matrix printer, see, tuck, 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 see, tuck, that is still there in my head. Okay. And that was there in my head when I got my result. At that point of time also it was there. I was so amazed because the most sophisticated gadget in my town I saw was a typewriter. Okay. So I just started to follow my instinct to find my path. Okay, I was not sure, but was very excited to work and find something that gives me satisfaction, because I was some of the people who just did not want to do or choose what the time has given you or how conventionally people are doing. I did not choose to do that. So in order to find something, I just then started reading newspaper about job market, the courses, and especially in computers. So I was really interested in doing something into sound engineering. You know why? I belong to a family of music at home. It's a home culture. Most of our family members are into music. So I just wanted to do something into that. Though I did not have very good experience of learning music, but I wanted to do something in music. Okay. And I'm a great fan of Jagjit Singh. On the cassettes of Jagjit Singh, I used to see something called Sound Engineer, and the name was like Daman Sood. And I was a great fan of Jagjit Singh and the quality of music that used to come. Okay, that was awesome. I thought that could be my target. So I thought if I cannot do anything in music, at least I would like to be in a profession of music by this means. And that took me to finding Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute in Calcutta. I went there. I went to the help desk. I asked them if I want to do sound engineering course, what's needed and all. I have done my graduation on BCom. And you know what they said? They said, okay, for sound engineering, you need to have arts or science stream. I was so broken from inside. I cannot tell you in words, okay? But then I thought, let us do something that I know. So then my hunt brought me nearly to some courses in multimedia, okay, because in multimedia also they were offering some sound software, sound engineering softwares and video editing softwares. So I thought, okay, at least with this, if I can go into this. So I enrolled in one of the courses. In multimedia, they taught me Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Adobe Premiere, then some sound editing softwares, video editing software, animation software. I just completed the course, and like in institutes, generally, the way the courses are done, they are very not much of that professional touch. So I just completed the course, but then soon was the time that I wanted to work because I wanted to earn money. So I got a job from the same, there was a placement from the same institute in a company called Zoom Digital. There was the work of retouching photos. So I did that job. I used to get like 1,400 rupees a month. That used to vanish up in my travel. So it used to be like 35 kilometers of travel with a local train and a bus, and probably eating something here and there in the evenings. So 1,400 rupees at that point of time in late 90s was actually nothing. It was hand to mouth. So I did that for a month or so. I think probably to a couple of months, and then I gave it up. I thought it's not my cup of tea because I'm not using my brain. Somehow it pushed me to do something of my own. So I started a DTP work at home. So desktop publishing. I thought probably there is something where I can use my brain. I can think logically in graphics or like whatever I'm doing, right? So I asked my father to buy me a computer at home with a 256 MB of RAM, 8 GB of hard disk. It was a luxury for me, and he took a loan for me. I can't even forget that. It's a heavy thing for me because getting that computer, it costed like 45 or 50,000 rupees. It was a huge investment. But then somehow I thought I need to make something out of it. So I started, doing book typings, magazines, agarbatti pouches, visiting cards, etc. And soon my heart said, even this is not what I'm made for. Though I was making money, but not that great of a money. Plus, money was not the only thing that drove me into choosing what I wanted to do, but my heart still was not beating. So since I had a good idea about image editing like Photoshop, CorelDRAW, etc., some of my friend circle, right? I was kind of popular friend circles because of my Photoshop abilities, CorelDRAW abilities. So I got a call from one of my friends. He was in the multimedia institute. He said that there's a web designer's job in a software company. Are you interested? And even before taking my next breath, I said yes. Okay. My journey actually started to be with sensible people around me, talking, thinking, communicating, logic. Okay, always gave me a confidence that I am on a right track with right people. And I enjoyed every bit of it. Every day I used to travel for 40 plus kilometers from home. I used to start at 6:30 from my home to reach office. And I used to come by say 9:30 in the evening. And after coming home, I used to be a dead cop. But after taking 1 hour of nap and having my dinner, I used to again go on my desk and learn something new. I had a target that every day I should learn one thing that I did not know yesterday. That was my target. And that was my target for, say, next 10 years, kind of. Okay, that used to be my target, that what did I learn today? I should be telling myself while going to bed that I learned this thing today, okay, which I did not know yesterday. And that helped me a lot, and that can help anybody. I mean, be a student or anybody, right? So that pulled me to learn anything and everything that was needed in this industry. So I graduated from a web designer to a HTML developer, then from HTML developer to a web developer, then a full stack developer, then a tech lead, then a team lead, and now a senior manager. I've seen the 3.5 eras of industry, how it has shaped and what and all changed, right? Every time I used to go for an interview, how the interview patterns have changed, how the expectations have changed, how every 5 years, how everything is changing in this industry. Okay, you cannot be like the last interview that you have given in like last 3-4 years. The next time you go for an interview, whatever you read the last 3 years, before last 3 years, it's all irrelevant. Things have changed from the scratch. So yeah, with my little knowledge, I would say, until the manager role, things were similar perspectives. But yeah, I have again started a new journey with my management role. It's giving me a really different perspective now.
It's a saga in itself, Vivek. That's what I would say. So a couple of points which stood out is follow your heart. And second most important thing is get better every day. I simply love that statement. What I have learned today, which got me better than yesterday. Such a profound statement. And in fact, it helped you moving on and taking different roles, right? From sound engineer to working on animation software like CorelDRAW, Photoshop as part of your DTP work at home, and then jumping on to web designer, multimedia software and all. So it is quite interesting and at the same time inspiring. And I would also like to add one point here. You mentioned about you have seen these 3 eras, right, of the industry, and every time you see or you attend the interview, the format is different. Like my co-host Sudhakar, unfortunately, is not here today. He also keeps on telling one thing, like every year, no matter whether you are changing your job or not, every professional should go and start attending the interviews. At least you'll get to know the format and all. And I think that's a amazing tip which we have to follow so that we get abreast with what is happening in the industry. And no matter whether you crack the interview or not, at least there is something to learn.
Very true.
So with that being said, now I would like to understand your journey. Okay, you said from sound engineer to the UI developer and from there to
Sound,
leadership and all,
yeah,
right?
sound engineering was an aspiration. Okay. But yeah, what I got my interest on was working with brainy professionals because
Yeah,
that's where my heart was beating probably.
yeah,
What I did not have as an academics or as my growing up for the job readiness, I did not have all that. But then when I saw these people, right, it was like, okay, it clicked me. Okay, right, this is the thing. This is the thing. I was telling one of my old friends, we used to think about, oh, yaar, kya karenge? What are we going to do after become this and that? And when I got this job, right, in the software industry, that time, I'll tell you, going to a software company in itself was not so thing that, okay, software company in Calcutta was just like any other accounting company or any other things, any other industry. Probably it's not in a very good shape. Probably, I don't know. What are you doing there? Computer, every day you are doing the same computer thing. What do you learn from there? Okay. What exactly do you make? Software? Oh, you make CDs. But yeah, my heart was palpitating for it always to be logical. Use your brains. Okay. I mean, it is, see, everybody's fate kind of is where you are supposed to be there. Sometimes I think that way. So yeah, with the help of all my colleagues and friends, and I'm fortunate to be here. It's like probably I don't belong here, but then I'm fortunate to be here, I would say.
no, you have been very humble throughout the conversation. I think it's quite inspiring, especially for people from non-tech background. If you want to dream about becoming a technology leader, here is a live example in the form of Vivek. So definitely take these nuances and try to carve out your career for yourself. So with that being said, Vivek, I would like to understand the challenges that you faced in learning the technologies.
Okay, so challenges was starting from the first, I would say the challenge was my language. Okay, so I was born and brought up in small town called Rishira, and there I was going in a government school. It's a Hindi medium school. English was started like in standard 6. ABCD was started in standard 6. So it was really a challenge for me. Okay. The first exam that I gave in English was in my college. The first day I saw the books in English, right, I just gave up, man. I cannot do this because I cannot comprehend what is that single line sentence means. How I'm going to write exams in English. But exams were over in BCom. Mostly the things are practical, accountancy, economics, those are all practical. Then I had a good memory at that point of time. So I could, and I had a good habit of reading newspapers and finding dictionary words. So that helped me at least cracking my graduation. So coming to the journey, when I started my journey, the first thing was the spoken English language. I did not have any confidence. Even if I have to tell, where do you come from? Even that sentence I could not form. It was a really challenge for me. So when I used to go to work, then somebody told me, okay, why don't you go for a spoken English class? And that batti jal gaya. Dimag mein, okay, yes, if there's something like spoken English, somebody is, teaching you how to speak English. Why not to do that? Okay. And the course fee was not that too much because there was an institute of Ramakrishna Mission in Calcutta, Golpar, and the teachers were so good. They actually wanted the students to learn. Their intention was the students should learn. Okay, with that intention, I used to go there for 1 or 1.5 hours. That helped me a lot. So that was the first thing that was a challenge. But yeah, obviously it takes a lot of time to grasp the tone, grasp the flow. These things took a bit of time, maybe 6 or 7 years actually it took. But then over the course of this thing, I learned all these things. That was the first thing. Second thing was designing was my core job. I was a web designer. I used to do design. There were a set of people who used to do the development of converting those designs into a web page. I was very fascinated because always my brain used to click. What I am doing is okay, what I'm doing. Okay. But what else somebody else is doing? Okay. I want to learn that. So the next nearest thing that was the UI development I wanted to learn. So I kind of saw what people are doing. They used to use, there was a tool called Microsoft Front Page. People used to use that to make the web pages, though it was on table based layouts and all, very non-standard things, but it used to make a web page. Then I got some this trial softwares, right? You get in CDs. At that point of time, there was a magazine called Digit, wherein these softwares used to come for free or like shareware, I think. After 15 days, they would expire. So I used to get that software installed. After 15 days, I used to format my machine again because otherwise it will not continue. So, but these are the things, like I did all the jugards of learning things. Okay. So then I knew this UI development. I started to learn the HTML, how whatever people are doing on the WYSIWYG editor, how it is converting a code. Okay. Code was a word, right? Code for me was a word like a robotic science. Okay. So I am doing a code. I was so happy that, okay, I can code, dude. Okay. So I started learning HTML, and soon I just showed my interest in the next company. I went there and I just said in the interview that I can do HTML coding, because where I was working, the peers won't let me even, touch the code, or they won't even entertain me learning things because kind of inferiority, whatever, right? So the next job where I was giving interview, I said, okay, I can do designing as well as UI development. And they were so happy to get somebody kind of a two stack of. So that was my challenge in that current company, but the next company I got it. So yeah, there I used to then do UI development as well. And soon again, my heart started saying, okay, dude, next thing. Okay, what's the next thing? So next thing was the backend developers who used to do some JavaScript coding. Okay, some interaction between the users. So that was again a challenge to learn. So I started figuring out how they are writing. So these people were trained professionals into languages and all. I did not have that idea. Okay. And but I had a huge confidence that from a DTP, if I am doing HTML coding, I can do this also. So I got this thick book that was on JavaScript, pure JavaScript. I still remember the name. I don't remember the author, but still remember the name. I used to cut the book like 20 pages. Okay, 20 pages of book. I used to cut, staple it. And every day I would go in my way to office in the local train. I would open and read it. Okay. And there is no sitting leisure in the local trains. I used to stand and I used to read. And I was so interested that like 50 minutes of travel, I used to think it's like only 5 minutes now. Okay, travel is over, dude. Okay, while returning again, I used to do the same thing. But I was so interested. Reading something and actually doing something, they were two different things for me, because I was very fascinated about it. But I found that I am not able to get the thing. I'm not able to write code, because the logical thinking, the language things, right? They were pretty hard for me. Then one of my local train mate, he was a software engineer. He was an engineer. He was a mechanical engineer. He came into software. He was working in a VB that time, Visual Basic. He told me, Vivek, if you want to learn JavaScript, right, you should know the basic structures first, how a language works. So you first go and learn C or C++. I said, where were you all these days, dude? You should have told me before. Then I actually went to an institute. I learned C. The institute name was SSI. It was a 15 days course. I did that C course, and actually again my dimag ka batti was like totally bright. Okay, now I can understand JavaScript, dude. I can do anything now. The next company, I gave interview there, and I said, okay, I know web designing, I know UI development, and I can also do JavaScript. So all these three I can do, and I got the job. And I started doing that. And there was Macromedia Flash was a that used to run as a plugin in browsers. That kind of animation works for site. Those things also I got. So it was a mix of everything of my skills. So that used to have a action script that is like JavaScript, that used to have all the skills of a designer that I used to put. So I used to make page banners and those things with some coding. So it was quenching my thirst inside. So I used to do that, and I did it for a long time. Then next, what's next? Again, it was backend development, ASP, databases, how people are doing. That was again huge question mark for me. I am doing JavaScript all good, but how that backend people are doing these things? I wanted to learn that. But since I knew JavaScript, I knew C, C++, learning ASP was not a big deal. So that at that point of time, ASP, JSP, they were ruling the market. Java was there, but was for very little specialized kind of work. So then I just bought some books on ASP. JSP. I read those books. Actually, the next job was in Delhi. So from Calcutta, I went to Delhi. So now I was proper bachelor, because all these days I used to come at home, Baap ka hotel mein, eat, sleep, do everything. But now I was a total bachelor, like student, engineering college student, right? Who has to think of everything. Kapda dhone se lekar ke everything they have to do. So I used to go in my room. I had to do everything in Delhi. I used to live in Munirka. That was people like us who are working in a company and then need one room to live, sharing room. So I used to be there. I used to live with one of my colleagues, and there I learned a lot of ASP backend. I used to do discussions in the evening with my roommate. He was in ASP, and he also was like a guy who wanted to help me, because he knew that from where I have come and what kind of skills I have. And he used to share everything with me. So from there, I learned ASP, JSP. So backend kind of thing, I got it. Then SQL Server, that I got here in Bangalore, basically. From there, again, I had to shift my job to come to Bangalore, because I needed the next challenge. So wanted to try my hands on databases also. So SQL Server was something that was the most popular at that point of time. Oracle was also there, but yeah, SQL Server was the nearest that I could catch with my hand. Yeah, but I did not get any books or anything. It was like, okay, the SQL Server software was open, and somebody was doing something, and I could logically think, okay, what is happening? Probably I can do some nudges by my hand. There was an incident when my manager said, okay, Vivek, this thing is not working, and do you know how to do this in the software? And I said, okay, I can try. Okay, if it works, it works. And it worked. Okay, and I thought, okay, now I know SQL also. Then I kind of started learning more triggers in SQL Server and all those things that were the advanced things. These are all the challenges that came in between. Then came the era of PHP development, having more standardized coding patterns in companies like AOL. When Java was getting too much of popularity, Java, PHP, these things were getting too much of market share. So at that point of time, as a course of action, I learned on the work, because now learning things were not so challenging for me. Learning new things were not. So whatever is there on the table, I just can logically make sense. If it makes sense to me, I can work on it, kind of thing. And then now getting the challenge of peers were not there, because now I had a gamut of skills, a big gamut of skills. I could talk in the meetings. I could present something in the team. I can propose something new, patterns or new way of doing it, that kind of thing. So people now started believing in me that, okay, this guy is also something. Okay. So then things became a bit easy for me. And then backend coding, everything. So till my tech lead, team lead, things were kind of fine. Now, again, the new era has come for me, which is management, which again, like I wanted to do that. There were some personal ups and downs, because of which it took a lot of time for me to reach here. But then, yeah, again, I'm like up and running in the same mode. And, the more you jump, it is like a drug addiction. The more you have, the more you need. Okay. Now I'm again, now learning skills on cloud computing. Though everywhere cloud is there in all the big organizations, but I wanted to learn it from scratch, how things are in all kind of cloud computing world is happening. So yeah, though I am late into this, but then yeah, I still want to learn. So I'm learning that these days.
Kudos to your passion. You have actually made me also nostalgic talking about that VB script, macro media, Flash, ASP, JSP, SQL Server, and all. One thing what fascinated me is you cutting the books and reading JavaScript stuff. Yeah, that is so nice. And in fact, I need to appreciate your appetite for taking that bigger and bigger challenges and all. So with that, let me move on to the next question. What is one thing that bothers you most, in case if any?
The bothering is that there used to be in our textbook in my 8th standard or 9th, there was a textbook in Hindi. There was a chapter called Piche Mat Fekiye. Piche Mat Fekiye means if you cannot promote somebody, okay, you please don't demote them. If you cannot appreciate somebody, don't push them back. Let them be where they are at least. So this is what, bothers me a bit, that when I stand on something, people try to show me, or people like me, not me. It's not only me, right? There are many people like me in this industry. They might have also faced this challenge that when you stand for something and if they know your background, they just kind of show you that you don't belong to here. Okay. You don't know what I know. Obviously, yes. But in a way, they show you the way.
Again, such a profound statement. If you can't promote, that's okay, but don't demote people. Wow. Yeah. Now, let me talk about the core of this topic. Like, how can the non-tech people, like maybe from other background, be it the life sciences or the BCom background, how can they learn technologies? What are your tips to them?
First thing, people should not come to something if they do not have interest in it. If the interest is for money making, they should not come. That is the first thing. Because if you are thinking that in this line, there is a lot of money, and for money, you should come in this line, which I've seen a lot of people doing and failing there. That is not going to work. What works is hard work, and on top of everything, interest. If you have interest, right, you can put 25 hours out of 24 hours in that work. If you do not have interest, you will not do anything. Okay, you will just think of money and die like that. So if you really have interest in something that you did not get and you have that passion of doing it, obviously you can do it today. And today's challenge is not like what we had. What we had was like how to learn that, what to learn. Those were the questions at that point of time. Today, the question is not how to learn, what to learn. It is why to learn. Because see, today it is push mechanism of teaching you. At my time, there was a pull mechanism to teach, to learn something from others. Today, there are so many courses online. YouTube is full with everything that you can think of. So if you have a will, there are many ways of learning today. But why to learn something is the challenging question today, and the distraction factor today. Today, social media and all the technologies, all the gadgets has made people pagal. Even I have become pagal because of this. It's like my team also, not only my team, every team in this world has a WhatsApp group. And that WhatsApp group is not an official WhatsApp group, because in the same WhatsApp, you get all the other jokes and this and that. So see what is the amount of distraction you have today. When I was in this thing, I used to get a total focus time of, let's say, a stretch focus time of 2 hours. Okay, if I lock myself for 2 hours, I am there for learning that thing for 2 hours. Getting even 20 minutes of non-distracting time is a great challenge for anybody. And not for anybody. It's like my kid, she is 3.5 years. I see like her attention span is like not more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Fine. For a child, that is fine. But then the distraction factors are enormous today. And that's the main challenge today. And now, why to learn something and like how to keep yourself undistracted from all these factors is a great challenge today.
I think it's a ground reality talking about the distraction part. Definitely, everybody is so glued to their screens. Like if you happen to board a public transport like train or bus, we'll see everybody's heads down and focusing on this, and they keep on scrolling either these
I'll tell
YouTubes
you,
or the Instas or whatever. Yeah.
once I was in Yahoo at that time, and I went to Singapore for some. At that point of time, I saw everybody is glued to their screen, and I was like, but this was in what 2010. That time, it was India was not that, everybody did not have a smartphone. People were not glued. They were talking to each other. They're looking at each other. Today, we are in the same boat.
Completely conquer. Like people have like thousands of friends on Facebook and Instagram, but they fail to make a physical probably meeting, right, wherein they come and meet in person. Okay, that is missing. And definitely on this note, I would like to recommend a book to all our audience, which is called Indistractable, and which a punchline, how to control your attention and choose your life. This is an amazing book, okay, especially to deal with the social media addiction and just go back to our normal life and choose our life. And this is authored by Neer Ayal. And I'm going to publish the link of this book in the show notes, and probably you guys can purchase it or borrow from your friend, but make sure that everybody reads this. So with that being said, you have been passionate about learning technologies, right, Vivek? Right from the desktop animation software, web designing, HTML, JavaScript, and now you have embarked on your cloud computing journey as well. So how do you keep yourself up to date with the contemporary technologies? Any tips you want to share?
It's like, see, first you have in your surroundings, you will see what you do not know. And that's the starting point for me, what I do not know. And I have to ask myself, if I don't know this, is this going to help me if I learn this? Then I start. Today, there is no question of how to learn, because there are many ways to learn. And you have books, but I've stopped using books. I think most of the people have stopped using books. They are using videos, or they are using audiobooks, or many other advanced level of books, which is a good thing. Reading book in itself is kind of partial communication. The most best communication is the video communication, where you can see the body language of a person. You can listen to the pauses and listen to the movements of the tones, right? Those communications are the best communications, because many things are non-writable things, okay, which you get from these mediums. So I learn from, mostly these days, I learn from, reading blogs, or listening to the CTOs, their YouTube channels, or the experienced people, these days I am mostly going for the experienced people, because I want to now go on the management ladder. I want to excel there. So there's a lot of psychological thoughts of managing somebody else. Okay, those are needed. How people think, what you think, what they are not thinking, there's a lot of gap between it. Before this management role, I used to assume that people are thinking in a way that I am thinking, but that's not true. People have different thoughts, people have different way of thinking, and at the end of the day, I understand that I did not understand anything, because reading people is an art which cannot be taught, and which can never be complete, because there's so much of permutations and combinations of thinking patterns, their backgrounds, their experiences, right? Every individual is different, and every individual have their own different challenges. I am learning things. How I keep myself updated is like with my surroundings, with YouTube, with many other things that come in my day-to-day thing. So it's like learning every day something. That is the key, I would say.
Wow, learning every day. And first of all, I would like to acknowledge the powerful and the most profound thought that you shared. If you can know what you don't know, then automatically you'll be in a stage and identify what is required, and then go ahead and explore what is needed. Thank you for sharing that. So Vivek, now talking about the role of an engineering manager, how do you think it is going to shape up in the next 5 years or so? And what are the kind of trends that you are seeing as it evolves?
See, when I started, right, there was nothing called engineering manager. There used to be a people manager. Probably the person used to be a manager in some other company or in some other industry. Now they have come to this industry to try their hands. So they used to be non-technical. And the way I've seen 3 eras passing by, now the managers cannot be non-technical in software industry. It is impossible for an engineering manager to be only doing, that's why the name engineering manager, right? They are managing engineers. So They are supposed to be engineers. How it is going to change in future? See, the thing is, now an engineering manager, there's a lot of training that happens for all the managers, and engineering managers are being taught of all the empathy, all the way of tackling people, how to manage their moods, everything that they have to do it. And especially after COVID, things have worsened. It's like people are frustrated in their homes. Okay, they have different challenges when working from home. Even being a manager, me also before being a manager, I personally, as a person, I also have a lot of frustration of things that are not possible. There are things beyond your Zoom window which has to be greeted to people. That is not happening. The body language is missing. When you are talking to somebody, probably you meant something and they got something else, right? Those are the challenges that are happening. But yeah, people are learning. We are also learning. So the next change that for an engineering manager is happening is more of playing a good HR role also. Apart from a people manager, being a good engineering architect brain, they also need to have a HR capabilities of understanding people, understanding their limitations, understanding their challenges. These are the things that are really needed for a manager to manage somebody in engineering field, be it anywhere. But these are the things, and world is changing. There used to be only mostly boys in my first company. One or two ladies used to come, and they were having some desk job. But these days, everywhere, I mean, it is supposed to be a 50-50 balance, and which is for very good. That is changing the whole paradigm. And I've seen that change happening. It's growing the world, it's growing our nation, it's growing our surroundings, everything, because of this 50-50 balance. With that, the manager's next part of gamut, I would say, is the HR mindset.
Great. Thanks for those insights. So managers can no longer be non-technical. They have to be hands-on, be an engineer, then you will become an engineering manager.
Yes.
In addition to that, the people aspects, right? Understanding the people, their strengths, their limitations, their challenges, that is going to be key. And as you rightly touched upon, the increasing diversity is also a quite encouraging fact. And we have to be mindful about how do we manage people from diverse background, gender, so on and so forth. So this was quite an amazing conversation so far. So Vivek, we would like to add some spice to the episode by asking you a few rapid fire questions. Maybe you can ask them very crisply, like one or two words or maximum one phrase. If you are ready, let's get started.
That would be exciting. I don't know. I've heard you asking such questions in your episodes, but then let me give it a try.
Wonderful. Thanks for volunteering to be part of rapid fire round. Let me fire the very first bullet out of the rapid fire. If you were to relate your life with a game or sport, what would it be?
It would be Ludo. It is exciting, full of unknowns. You have a plan, and your plan always does not work the way you think. So just go with the game, go with the flow of the streams happening, right? And enjoy the life.
Fair enough. Yeah, I love that analogy. Moving on to my next question. What is your favorite failure?
That's a thinkable question. Okay, so very close relative of mine came to Bangalore for some earnings and stability. For him, this city was new. He did not even knew how to ride a vehicle, because in my small hometown, the most valuable vehicle is a bicycle. These days, yeah, obviously people have more ways, but then that's the thing. In a general house, you will find a bicycle. Everywhere, every household will have a bicycle for sure. Like the way Bangalore has, everyone has at least a scooty, right? So bicycle, what he knew, nothing else. Okay, so did not know places in Bangalore, did not know how to see a Google map either. And he needed help to make some money here. So I said, okay, please come, stayed with me. And then like for 5 days, I took off, and he was in a urgent need of having a job and making money. So I thought, okay, Bangalore, everybody is coming, doing Swiggy, Uber Eats and whatnot at that point of time. So I said, okay, I'll help you. So I took this 5 days off, and I said, okay, you don't know roads, I will go with you. You don't know Google Maps, I'll teach you. Okay, how to do it. So I went with him for 5 days for doing the deliveries, and that's a nightmare for me. Actually, I don't know how these people do it. They are great, and I do a great namaskar to them, because getting an order and delivering it in time with this Bangalore traffic, it is highly impossible. I don't know how do these people do. If you keep your vehicle somewhere, some towing vehicle will come and take your vehicle. Okay, some police wala will say don't keep it here, and then if you are not speaking in that rowdy language, right, you cannot conquer them. Okay, you cannot be like, okay, white collar job person going and doing this. It is not possible. How these people do it, really, I do a sashtang namaskar to these people. So that was my favorite failure, because after some days I told him, see, you are like me, I am like you, let's not try our hands on this. This is not possible. Okay, whatever money is gone, don't worry about it. But then, so after 15 days, I asked him, the bike that we took it from some drive-z or something, we just gave it back to them, wrapped up everything, because it was at any point of time an order can come and you cannot say no. It is quite challenging. You cannot sleep. Okay, if you want to make money for living and you really want to, so it is very, very tiring and very, very challenging to let your orders go away. What you make is like 10 rupees, 20 rupees out of an order. And for that, you do so much of things. So that is my favorite failure, because I tried it, I failed, but a big namaskar to them. That's why it is favorite.
Yeah, that's a fair story. In fact, it's quite heart touching, and definitely we need to give kudos to those people who are making a living out of these deliveries and all by being on time and dealing with all the challenges and all. So thanks for sharing that particular story. So with that, let me move on to my third question out of the rapid fire. What is one movie dialogue which stuck your mind for so long?
Before that, I would ask you, if I'm telling you things in detail, is it considered as rapid fire, or you want a
Loving the conversation, that's why I'm not putting the hard and fast rule, but the briefer, the better.
Yeah, and sorry for longer discussions. Yeah, what was your last question?
My last question was, what's one movie dialogue which struck your mind for long?
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite question. And I have only one answer. And that one answer is Babu Moshai. हम सब तो रंगमंच की कठपुतलियां हैं. कब कौन कैसे उठेगा ये कोई नहीं बता सकता है. Ha 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 ha. You have seen this movie called Anand, right? This is the punch dialogue of that movie. And I have seen that movie for 40 times at least.
I would love to watch that movie for sure.
Yes.
So with that, let me move on to my next question. What has been a question on your mind for which you never got an answer for?
Okay, even this is my favorite question. And the thing is like, why do we name God? Name called God, why do you name it?
Great, yeah. I think it has noteworthy thinking about it. But let me move on to my last question out of the rapid fire. What is one message that you would like to give to your own younger version?
Okay. To my own younger version, I would say that no one is God. So don't do blind trust. And no one is God. So forgive their mistakes and move on.
Wow. So this has been a fantastic rapid fire, and thanks for being so candid, talking about your experience in supporting a person from your town in supporting the deliveries, and then talking about your favorite movie dialogue and also the question on your mind. So this has been a fantastic rapid fire round. With that, let me flip back to the mainstream and ask you one final question for this session. What will be your one piece of advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers?
See, things should not be, big is fine, but all the big start from small. Okay. So find your spark, listen to your heart. No idea is small. Everything is achievable. Adding uniqueness is an art. Okay. So in my case, it was like I had a uniqueness of having a web designer's profile, and on top of that, uniqueness of being a developer also at the same time. The world looks for uniqueness. So if you really want to having a great career, try to find what is that makes you different. Probably that will solve all the answers.
Great. Such a profound statement, actually. It's all about what can be the unique thing that you can bring forward to the table. So this has been a fantastic conversation, Vivek. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was also a wonderful topic to talk about the unconventional journey of an engineering manager. Thanks again for being part of TGV's journey in shaping the lives and careers of millions across the globe.
Thanks, Naveen. This was really great and I'm honored. And with on this platform, I would like to thank you and everyone who has helped me in my journey. Each and everyone. I have a very, very close friend of mine. His name is Giriraj Mota, and I want to call his name because I told you, right? This friend, you should have one friend to whom you go and talk about your frustrations, talk about your next big thing or whatever. You should have one friend, and that friend should also have you as your friend. This platform, I really love it, and I make sure that every time you put a new episode, I go and listen to it. It's such an inspiring thing. So yeah, I mean, taking the advantage of your platform, I want to really say thanks to everyone who have helped me in my journey, and because of them only, I am where I am. Otherwise, this was not possible.
So nice of you. Such a nice gesture to acknowledge people that helped you. And definitely kudos to Giriraj, wherever you are, if you're listening or watching this episode. And it is not a small thing. You have influenced your friend Vivek's journey and life very big way. So kudos to that and keep continuing to do that. All right. So pleasure hosting you again, Vivek. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the trivia segment of today's episode. And folks, today's trivia is about Milo. I'm wondering, have you heard about Milo? In case if you haven't heard, let me tell you. Milo is a device, okay, which was launched by Sony, and it was created for portable instant messaging as well as internet-based communications, browsing internet websites using the Opera web browser way back in 2006. So that it was targeted for essentially age group of 18 to 24 for playback and sharing of media files. Here comes my question. What does Milo mean in this Sony Milo? I know you're thinking, but let me reveal you the answer. It is My Life Online. Interesting, isn't it? Thank you so much for listening, or thank you so much for watching if you're on YouTube. There is more in store, folks. Stay tuned. Take care. Be safe. Until next time. Bye-bye. We are signing off for today. See you all in the next episode with another wonderful guest.